Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Eric with SweetSpotDFS, and welcome to my DFS preview for the 2022 Masters Tournament. It's Masters Week, baby. I couldn't be more excited. I'm sure most of you guys out there are super excited about it too. It's the best week in golf for the entire year, at least in my opinion. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. What I like to do in these previews is target the optimal lineup. I like to go over all the pieces that I think are going to be required to find the optimal lineup, and I do that by looking at past optimal lineups, as well as using the bucket system, which I just created a new video that I'll put a link in the description for that explains how I use the bucket system every single week. Highly suggest you go watch that to get a better understanding of it, because I'm not going to spend much time explaining it in this video. But I also like to look at the golf course at hand. I mean, it's going to be self-explanatory this week, as well as the tournament information. And usually before I get into any of that, I like to go over giveaways, which I'm going to actually leave to the end of the video. The one thing you need to know, you need to be subscribed to this channel in order to take advantage of those giveaways, and you need to comment down in this video. We can have a topic of who is your favorite golfer this week. Give me the winner of the Masters tournament, who you think is going to win this tournament. And if you're subscribed, you do that, you're going to get a free entry into the giveaways that I'm running. First of all, I give money away, as well as a cheat sheet and an optimizer. If you want to go check those out, use the timestamps below, skip ahead, come back, and then get right back into this thing. But let's start it off with the tournament and golf course information. I mean, most of this is self-explanatory. I don't need to go through most of this with you guys, but the Masters, established in 1934, Augusta, Georgia, all that we already know. Field size currently is 91 players, but I'm anticipating the winner at the Valero Texas Open will make it 92. So I put 92 players. The cut is top 15 ties. That is different than what we usually see on tour. Usually you see the cut being top 65 in ties. Well, not at the Masters. And if you remember in 2021, they actually cut out the rule of anyone within 10 strokes of the leader, it also makes the cut. So there was like a conditional. It was top 50 and then anyone who's within 10 strokes of the leader. They took that out, so now it's just top 50 in ties, just to make it super easy, super simple. Your average winning score, minus 11.5. Your average cut score, plus 3.7. Strength of field, 809 currently. I don't see that really going up by much, maybe to 810 or 811, but I think it's going to be right around 809. So why are any of those last pieces of information important? Well, they're all data points that you can use when researching which golfers you want to put in your player pools. Cut score or the win score is going to be one thing you can look at. Cut score is another. Strength of field. I think those are all suitable data points that you can use for your research. Look at DraftKings points. Look at scoring average, finishing position, the average for that. I think those are all good points to use for researching. I'm recording this on a Saturday night, so the next pieces here with weather and wind can obviously change super quickly and throughout the entire week. But I think it's worth noting that currently forecasted Thursday, 75 degrees with 10 to 20 miles an hour wind. Friday, 65 degrees. So it drops 10 degrees, which is pretty considerable. Here's a little fun tidbit that maybe you guys don't know. Every 10 degrees drop in temperature, you lose 10 or you lose 2 yards. So only 2. But the big thing that comes into play is your body will get constricted when you get colder, because obviously you're putting on more layers, but then you're just colder. You're not as loose. You're not going to hit the ball as far. It's just a tidbit. Nothing to really worry about this week. Just wanted to provide that. The wind is going to be, it's forecasted at 20 to 30 miles an hour. That reminds me of the Players' Championship this week, where there was a huge advantage to a weather draw. Now, the Masters doesn't do tee times like normal tour events. They start everybody on hole 1, whereas most tour events, you start, half of the field starts in the morning on holes 1 and 10. Half the field starts in the afternoon on holes 1 and 10. Here, you have a tee time at like 8 a.m. And then the next day, it's 2 hours different. And I think it goes 2 hours backwards. So if you have an 8 a.m. tee time, let's say the Masters sets their tee times from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. If you had an 8 a.m. tee time, you'd go back 2 hours, which would actually be 10 a.m. if you follow what I'm getting at. Let's say you had a 11 a.m. tee time. You go back 2 hours, it'd be 9 a.m. the next day. I think that's how it's done, or it goes forward 2 hours. I can't remember how it really works, but it's just slightly different. Like, no one is really getting hosed by having to wake up really early one day, or I should say tee off really late and then wake up super early. You get a little bit of a reprieve. But anyways, worth mentioning. I'll go over tee times more in the strategy video. We'll talk about them then. We'll try to figure out, obviously, with the strategy, is it beneficial to play golfers at certain tee times or not? We'll double check then. But again, I just want to note that again, this is Saturday night. These weather forecasts can change considerably up until Thursday. Golf course, Augusta National Golf Club. That is, we all know this. Architect Bobby Jones, Alistair McKenzie. You can use those architects for your research purposes as well. Par 72, 7,400 yards. Greens are bent grass, fairways, and the rest of the golf course is ryegrass. Don't pay any attention to the ryegrass. I don't think it's really worth looking into. But greens, obviously, look at your bent grass specialists, stuff like that on those greens. But this is the Masters. Looking at course history stats is probably going to be more prevalent than looking at bent grass, but I don't think it's going to hurt you. And then you got the shot shape. I like to look at every single hole and determine what shot shape is required on each hole off the tee and then into the green. So off the tee, I use a 300-yard baseline. So if you're going to hit a tee shot 300 yards, I then record what type of shot shape you need to play in order to keep the ball in the fairway. This can be negated by people just playing irons off the tees or fairway woods to not hit it to 300 yards. So keep all that in mind. I just use that as a baseline to just let you know what kind of shot shape might be required if you are just going to hit driver. And then approach, it's just all about how the green lies, where most of the pins will be located, and it's just kind of it's an educated guess, essentially. But you can see you want to shape shots both directions. Most of the time, people think you want to hit draws at this golf course, but having, a good arsenal of shots in your bag is going to be very helpful. I mean, Tiger Woods kind of made a joke to Justin Thomas. The reason you're not winning more tournaments is because you don't have that many shots in your bag. So I think that's prevalent because Tiger Woods has won here quite a bit, but you also could just hit the ball super straight and be just fine. So like your Colin Morikawas of the world will be just fine at this event. Even your Dustin Johnson. Now, granted, Dustin, when he first came on tour, played a huge draw, and he can tap into that when he's on his game. He can hit shot shapes all different directions. It's not talked a lot. It's not talked about a lot with Dustin Johnson, but he certainly can do that. I think as long as you're on your game, you can hit whatever shot shape and you're going to be just fine. Think of like Zach Johnson. He only hits draws, but he laid up on all the par fives and he was able to get away with it. He won the tournament that way. But anyways, that is your tournament information and your course information. Let's go straight into past optimal lineups, and we're going to start in 2017. It's worth noting that I have salaries in 2016 as well as 2015 that, you know what, we can talk about these. No. I really don't want to talk about these optimal lineups because the pricing was so wonky. Like, DraftKings was trying to figure it out. They finally figured it out, I would say, in 2018. 2017 we can still use because they seem pretty normal then. But you can see Rory McIlroy was $14,900. You never see anyone inside $14,000 except for at the Tour Championship when you have those staggered starts. And I think if we were to scroll down, you're going to see some at $5,000. Yeah, $5,100, Darren Clarke. Maybe that's how the Masters should be played, but these types of salaries are way too wonky for me to even record for optimal lineups. So I'm just going to skip 2015 and 2016 because it's the same. And also 2016, I don't have everyone's salaries yet. I basically have been able to scrap a lot of these things together by looking at old YouTube videos that have these salaries. I know, super tedious and whatever, but at least I got, the top 10 salaries. That's great. Anyways, 2017, past optimal lineup. all the past optimal lineups that you're going to see on each sheet that I go over are going to have these little black tick marks. We're going to start there, and then we're going to talk about GPP winning lineups or realistic lineups. Your GPP in 2017 had an 8K, a 9K, 7, 7, 7, 7. So 4 7s, a 9, and an 8. That left $1,700 on the table. I never advocate for leaving a lot of money on the table. It opens up way too many lineup combinations. We want to restrict the amount of lineup combinations because it's going to give us a better chance to hit the optimal lineup. I understand the optimal lineup was 48,300, but it's an outlier. And I would much rather have this realistic lineup at $50,000, which included an 8K, 9, 7, 7, a 10, and a 6. So basically, let me read that differently. A 10, 9, 8, 7, 7, 6. That's your traditional lineup build. And I think that's always the best route to go. This scored 541. The optimal scored 561. So pretty close. I'm not sure if it would have won a GPP, but we did have all 6 of our golfers inside the top 10. So that's super good. In 2018, our optimal lineup scored 609 points, left $200 on the table, and it included 10, a 9, an 8, 2 7s, and a 6. Cameron Smith, 6K. So there you go. There's your traditional lineup build, only leaving $200 on the table. Your Millie Maker lineup had 5 of those golfers, but we replaced Cameron Smith with Russell Henley, and it scored 606 points. It left no money on the table. It was 3 points behind the optimal lineup. If there wasn't a better time to follow SweetSpotDFS, then right now I don't know what is. Because you want to be building the optimal lineup in order to take down a GPP. You had to in 2018 because the Millie Maker lineup was pretty damn close to being the optimal lineup. 2019, similar story. Optimal lineup scored 609 points. Same amount of points as in 2018. Left $100 on the table, and it used a 10, 9, 8, 7, 7, 6. 6K. That's your traditional lineup build. Scored 609 points. Left $100 on the table. Your Millie Maker lineup didn't even use the winner. Didn't use a 6K golfer. Instead, it went 9, 8, 8, 8, 7, 7. So an interesting way to build a lineup that way. And again, didn't have the winner. It scored 603 points. So 6 points behind first. So really close, just like in 2018. Again, you're going to want to build the optimal lineup, or you're going to want to try to pursue it. And so far what we're seeing is 10, 9, 8, 7, 7, 6 is your lineup build of choice when actually building the optimal. In 2020, your optimal lineup scored 676 points and it left $900 on the table. It's going to be slightly different. It uses a 10, actually 2 10s, 7, 7, leave another 7. Yep, another 7 down here, Cameron Champ, and then a 6K golfer. So 2 10s, 3 7s, and a 6K. So yeah, slightly different. And Dustin was really close to being that 9K golfer. He was 10 flat. This was in 2020 when the Masters was played in November. So maybe we can chalk that up to just being a little different in general. It was a weird year no matter what, because that's when COVID pushed everything to its weird places. So maybe we consider, or we take that into consideration. Your Millie Maker lineup was a 10K. Actually, it was the 2 10s and I think 4 7s. Yep. 2 10s and 4 7s. So in 2020, it used 4 7K golfers. In 2018, was it 2018? No, was it? Which year was it? 2019? Yeah, 2019. Oh, that was another weird one. Never mind. I'm trying to figure out. Okay, so it's 2017. So 2017, it also used 4 7K golfers as well. That was the optimal lineup, not the GPP winning lineup. So 7Ks are going to rule the nest, it looks like, or rule the roost, I should say. 2021. Optimal lineup. Left $900 on the table. Did we actually talk about the Millie Maker? It scored 656 points. The The optimal scored 676. So there's 20 points in between. So there was definitely things you could do. And I did create a realistic optimal. So that would be all 6 golfers inside the top 10. And we had a 10, 9, 9, 2 7s, and a 6. So pretty close to that 10, 9, 8, 7, 7, 6 lineup. But actually used 2 9Ks instead. And that used up 49,800 of the salary. And it actually scored the same amount of points as the Millie Maker lineup. So we wouldn't have won, but we would have tied for first. So yeah, you would have been co-winners. All right, 2021. Your past optimal lineup was a 10K, 9K, 8, 7. Where's the other one? 7, 6. So another traditional lineup build. You left $900 on the table. You scored 589 points. Your Millie Maker lineup scored 571. So it was an 18-point difference there. You left $400 on the table, and that consisted of a 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 7. So another traditional 10, 9, 8, 7, 7, 6. So the consensus that I've seen so far with past optimal lineups, you want a 10K golfer most of the time in your lineup, a 9, 8, 7, 7, 6. You definitely just want to stick to your 7s. But there's another way we can look at this, and it's going to involve looking at the bucket system, and that's exactly where we're going right now. I again highly suggest you guys check out the video in the description below that is titled the bucket system. I think that's how I'm going to title it. Either way, like I said, I created a video today to discuss how to use it, how to understand it. Should be simple, should be easily digestible, I should say. Go take a look, and you'll have a better understanding of what I'm talking about here. But why don't we just go ahead and jump right into the salary buckets? This is just looking at historical data and applying it to this field, this event, what the salary makeup looks like in the field for the 2022 Masters. When we look at this, one thing I like to take a look at is the frequencies of these salaries finishing inside the top 10. Because I'm, at the very least, if I don't hit all 6 golfers in the optimal lineup, I want 6 golfers inside the top 10. So I'm just going to look at, each top 10 as a whole and basically grab all that information every single year. Every single year, there's been a 10K inside the top 10. Also, a 9K. And also 2 7Ks. So I'm kind of already thinking how I want to build my lineups is a 10-9, 7-7 start. At least I'll do that for like 90% of my lineups. So if I'm creating 100 lineups, I'll do them in 90 of them, maybe even 95. And then the remaining 5 will just start at a 9K, and I'll try to fill in as much as I can to get me over 49,000, because that's what I believe in. Try to build all your lineups over $49,000, only leaving a max of 1,000 on the table. Don't leave any more than that. But really, I'm trying to get as close to 50,000 as possible. So I don't want to leave more than like $300 on the table. But yeah, your 10K, your 9K, as well as your 7K, all buckets you want to be building. You want to grab golfers from and put in your lineups. And we can even go a little bit deeper, looking at past optimal lineups. Nothing is for certain except for 7Ks. Like, we're going to see 7Ks inside the optimal lineup, most likely. You can also see top 5 frequencies. I should say, what I wanted to say is we see a lot of 10Ks inside the top 10, but there have been years where we've seen 0. So keep that in mind. I don't really want to look at top 5 frequencies. I don't know why I brought that up. But anyways, we have 7 in that bucket this year. We usually see around 5. There's a high likelihood we're going to have a 10K in the optimal lineup, or I should just say inside the top 10, if not in the optimal lineup. So I'm going to start my lineups with a 10K. Easy. 9K is pretty much the same thing. 9 golfers in that bucket. Usually we only have 6. Yeah. I mean, we'll get into the strategies and going over like anchor buckets, but I'm telling you right now, the 10 and the 9K is going to be an anchor bucket. And so will the 7K, although the projection is pretty low currently. We'll see. I don't think this will actually change, but it's really interesting to see it like this. Maybe the person who wins the tournament at the Bolero we'll bump this bucket up a little bit where the projection will actually be over 2. That would make sense. But as it sits now, doesn't look as confident as usual. And I think that's because we have less golfers in that bucket this year than we typically do. So anyways, those are your salary buckets. I'm going to leave strokes gained to the end. Let's go into last year buckets. So really what I'm doing is looking at the finishing position from the year before. Does that make a difference, you know, at each of these events? And I'll say this, yes, it does. By far and away, having a top 20 finish at this event the year before, a huge boost to the likelihood of hitting the optimal lineup and to finishing inside the top 10. We've had a max of 7 inside the top 10 before. And guess what? That was last year. Last year, we had 7 golfers from the Masters. Let's say in the 2021 Masters, we had 7 golfers who top 20 in the 2020 Masters. Of course, that 2020 Masters was in November, but either way, it's a high likelihood. And our minimum is 2. So that means we've seen at least 2 inside the top 10 every single year. So take a look at your top 20 leaderboard from last year. Find 2 golfers you want to anchor your lineups around and build your lineups that way. Or if you like to build a lot of lineups like me, I'm just going to mix and match. Which, again, if you already looked at the giveaways ahead of time, I am providing the optimizer, which uses all these buckets to build lineups, to help us build lineups following these rules. But either way, yeah, having a top 20 finish, super helpful. Also, having somewhere between that 20 to 40 range, super helpful as well. It's not as common of finding the optimal lineup, but we see it inside the top 10 every single year. So that's a good sign. Another thing that's really interesting, golfers who didn't play last year. This includes rookies. This also includes golfers who do have course history. So it's hard to delineate that by just looking at this bucket, but finding a golfer who did not play last year is actually kind of a boost. Now we'll talk about this with anchor buckets. I don't think this will be one because the maximum projection is so low that I would probably project somewhere between 0 to 2. But you've seen it inside the top 10 every single year. You've also seen it in the optimal lineup every single year. So keep that in mind. But yeah, your biggest ones here, top 20 the year before and did not play. Those are your biggest ones. So keep that in mind. And really having a 40 to 60 finish, not super great. We only have 7 golfers in that bucket this year. Keep that in mind. Missing the cut the year before, not terrible. Doesn't really hurt you, but you really want to limit the amount of golfers you're going to select. Like it's somewhere between 0 to 2. So keep all that in mind. Now I want to go to last week because that's kind of the opposite of last year in these buckets here. So the big question is the golfers that played last week. What type of finishing position really helps them at the Masters? Does having a really good finish help them move forward or not so much? Well, the projections that I have on the screen, you can ignore those because those will change. The Valero Texas Open has not yet ended, so I don't quite have the correct totals inside these, but you can already see playing the week before, not super great. Like it's not a huge deal. Like we have a total of 22 golfers that have played last year. I just want to double check that. Yeah, so we have 22 golfers. I'm gonna double check. Okay, never mind. Yeah, 22 golfers played last week that are in the current Masters pool. Now, obviously, or in the field. Obviously, if the winner isn't currently in the Masters field, then there will be added, and that means there will be 23 total golfers. But as it sits now, all the golfers with their current placements in that tournament, the only ones that you know for certain are the missed cuts, the missed cuts and the withdraws. They are down here. That includes Rory McIlroy. I'm only projecting somewhere between 0 to 1 golfers finishing inside the top 10, and it's not even a given that bucket will actually produce a top 10 finisher. So keep that in mind. It's not a successful bucket. Currently, the golfers in, well, it's going to remain the same unless somebody who made the cut, who's currently playing, withdraws. It's going to be at this number. And with that being said, the success rate's not super high. Of course, Rory can break that. Rory's good enough to break that mold. But as it sits now, not a great omen when going into the Masters. And really, neither are any of the other finishing positions. Like, I could go through some of these years. Like in 2021, Spieth played the week before, finished first, and finished inside the top 10. And so did Corey Connors. So those were good omens. Those worked. But then as we go throughout all the years, 2020, actually, that's the same thing. It's not really helping my cause here. Ricky Fowler. I think it's just the total amount of golfers that show up. Let's see, is this going to show me every single year there's a top 20? Okay, every year except for 2013 there was. So let me just double check something. That does not sit well with me. Okay. So to be 19, and almost every single year we have that. 19. Projection is low because there aren't, okay, I'm sorry. This could change. This number here could change to be a higher number. That will change the projections, and we'd probably want somewhere between 0 to 1 or 0 to 2. So the frequency of it finishing inside the top 10 is pretty high, actually. 88% is pretty good. Whereas like a missed cut with Rory, 55%, not super good. And this is the frequency of them finishing inside the top 10 every single year at the Masters, with a finishing position from the year before. Or from the week before, sorry, the week before. So yeah, having a top 20 is actually a good omen. And although my projections aren't super high now, that can obviously change based off of how many golfers are going to be in that bucket and what their strength of field. What they actually present. I don't know what the word I'm looking for. The strength of field that's assigned to them and what they contribute to that bucket. Probably the best way I can say it. But anyways, moving on from there. Actually, did not plays, definitely the bucket you want to be selecting from. Not playing the week before, super helpful. You see a minimum of 5 inside the top 10 every single year, a minimum of 2 in the optimal lineup, and a maximum of 5. So to me, as I'm looking at it, I'm even looking at these projections, I'm probably going to have at least 3 golfers from that bucket, if not 4, in all of my lineups. And I mean, you get the bulk of your lineups here anyways. So that doesn't really mean anything. But yeah, I think avoiding golfers who played the week before is actually kind of a good thing. All right, moving on. Sorry, that took a little bit longer than I wanted it to. Let's go to course history next. And really, when I look at this, you can see the top 3 buckets all have golfers that have all, have a minimum, I shouldn't say golfers, have all produced golfers top 10 to top 10, I should say. Gosh, vocabulary. They've all produced a golfer inside the top 10 at least once a year. Having really good course history has produced the most top 10s, a minimum every single year. All of these have 100% frequency rates. All of them fluctuate between, like the maximums are pretty large. And then you can see every single year in the optimal lineup, we've seen someone from that 20 to 40 range. Now, I highly suggest you watch that bucket system video because I explain how course history is calculated, what I do every single year. It's just a snapshot from that year, looking at the years behind it. This actually goes back to 2010. This doesn't go back to 2013. This goes back to 2010. And it just captures what the course history was at the year that event was played for all the top 10 golfers. So it just gives us really good historical stats to try to build lineups off of or try to analyze. And so that 20 to 40 range means really good course history. That's their average finishing position at this event. Same applies with that top 20. So finding good course history golfers, definitely paramount when building your lineups. And then you could actually go down in that 40 to 60 range because we are still projecting quite a bit, or a decent number of golfers in that bucket, or from that bucket. Jeez. Words are hard. All right, let's go ahead. Here, actually, did not plays. So any debutants, any rookies, that's where they're all going to show up right here. We have 20 in the field. Not super successful. The frequency is pretty darn close to being inside the top 10 every single year. 77.78% means it happens more often than not. But with the field as it is now, the golfers that are in those buckets, I'm not sure how I feel about it. 50% clip of being the optimal lineup, a maximum of 2. It's not terrible. So it's like a 50-50 chance of finding 1, maybe 2 golfers from the did not plays, you know, the rookies, like I said, to be in your lineups, to be in the optimal lineup as well. So keep all that in mind. Recent form buckets. So I always look at the last 7 weeks. Again, these are all snapshots at the year that the tournament was played, going all the way back to 2010, like I said before. Actually, no. Recent form would just go back to 2013, I believe. Let me double check. Yeah, 2013. Okay. So recent form goes back to 2013. Basically, having any recent form is going to be fine. 1 to 20, like super good recent form, that looks good. 20 to 40 is good. Let's put it this way. Bucket 1, super good. Bucket 2, really good. Bucket 3, good. And then bucket 4, not the greatest. Bucket 5, not good at all. These 3 buckets here that are good, go ahead, select golfers from it. But understand, like, there is a maximum that you want to select. You can even see the optimal lineups over here. There's been a minimum of 1 for your recent form 2s and a minimum of 1 for your recent form 3s in the optimal lineup every single year, which is awesome. And you can see some maxes here. You see a max of 3 for like super good recent form, that 1 to 20 range, 3 for the really good range, that 20 to 40 range, and then 4 for the recent form 3s, which is that 40 to 60 range. So I'm probably going to mix and match pretty equally when I create these lineups. I'm never going to go over 3, it looks like. I see my projections. Some of them might go up to 4. But for the most part, I think I'm just going to keep it, you know, selecting no more than 3 from each of these buckets. I know you can only build 6, you know, or build a lineup of 6 golfers. But let's say if I pick 3 from recent form 1, then I'll pick 1 or 2 from recent form 2 and then the remaining 1 from recent form 3. That's fine. You can build lineups like that. Yeah, I'm gonna look into that. Again, we'll go over this during the strategy video, but it looks like just having recent form, like decent recent form, is actually a good thing. And then golfers who have 0 recent form or, you know, bad recent form, probably stay away from those guys. It doesn't look very successful from their end. The last bucket to talk about are strokes gained stats. Again, I talk about this in that strokes gained video. Go check it out. But for strokes gained 1, that is your dominant bucket. These are all stats are positive leading into this tournament for 1 full year. So I'm looking all the way back to last year's Masters, all the way until this date. Strokes gained 1 buckets just dominate. You can see there's at least 3 inside the top 10 every single year. There's at least 2 in the optimal lineup. We only have 14 golfers in that bucket this year, so it's going to be kind of easier to select golfers from. It's definitely a bucket I'll be looking at. Strokes gained 2, basically every golfer who has plus off the tee and plus putting that is not in strokes gained 1 will be in this bucket. It's another one that looks pretty good. We do see at least one inside the top 10 every single year, but we don't see at least 1 in the optimal lineup every year. So keep that in mind. Looks like, well, we have 4 out of 6 years where we've had 1 in the optimal lineup. So that's pretty decent, still pretty decent, but nothing to really be excited about. And I'm actually not going to talk about the rest of these. You can kind of see the projections are nearly the same. The minimum amount of times are pretty much the same. The maximum amount of times pretty much the same. And same with optimal lineups. Looks like you won a mix and match pretty evenly here. So finding 2 in strokes gained 1, maybe 1 in strokes gained 3, and 1 in strokes gained 4, and then just kind of mix and match the last 2. Whether you want to go to strokes gained 2 or add more to these buckets, I think that's going to be fine. So that is going to conclude the preview for the Masters tournament. I got nothing else to talk about when it comes to just trying to find the optimal lineup. These buckets help navigate us to find the right pieces to build our lineups around. Now, you got to find the right golfers that are in these in these buckets. That's what the strategy video that hopefully I'll do tomorrow. If not, I'll do it Monday. So I'm again recording this on a Saturday. I'll have the strategy video on Monday. I'll just promise it's going to be out on Monday. I want to look at tee time pairings. That's what needs to be included in that. So I have to wait until those come out before I can actually create a strategy video. I will be joining the Fantasy Golf guys tomorrow night, Sunday night. By the time you're watching this, it's probably gonna be tonight. So be on the lookout for that. That's a live show. So watch it on YouTube or go to Twitter. I'll share the video as well, so you guys can just come along and watch. But that'll be my Sunday content. I think I might do a player-by-player show. We'll see. But anyways, going back to the preview, I just want to find the pieces required to target the optimal lineup. The strategy video will be where we dive into these buckets and find the players that we really like to build our lineups around. So be on the lookout for that. Like I said, I'm doing some giveaways this week. So let's get into these giveaways. Again, that all requires you to be subscribed and leave a comment down below. So just go ahead and just do that right now. Super simple. Hit that subscribe button. You can win up to $30. And if you want a free entry, again, be subscribed, comment down below. You can comment on this preview video. Actually, any of the Masters videos that I put out, whether it's prize picks, strategies, maybe I do that player by player, you'll get a free entry just by being subscribed and commenting on that. And if we hit the goal of 350 subscribers, we only need 22 more subscribers. So if you're not yet subscribed, please do so. I'm going to run this giveaway during the review. Sunday night at the Masters, I'll run this giveaway. One of you guys is going to win $30. Simple as that. So that's the subscriber giveaway. I'm also doing a prize picks giveaway. If you have not yet signed up with prize picks, I have a link in the description below that'll get you to the sign up page. And if you sign up using the promo code SweetSpot, put $20 in your account, I'm going to give you your $20 back. Prize picks is also going to match your deposit up to $100. So just like every other content creator out there that is partnered with prize picks, they're also doing that, but they're not giving their viewers or the people that sign up money back. I am. I'm going to give you $20. So you can put $100 into it. That's fine. Prize picks will match that, giving you an additional $100, and it's only going to cost you $80 when all things are said and done, because I'm going to give you that $20 back. Totally up to you guys though. Again, link in the description below. Highly suggest you guys go sign up, use that promo code. Super simple. And prize picks is super fun, man. It's really easy to win money on prize picks. The other thing that I'm doing, I'm giving away my optimizer. I'll put that on the screen. This isn't of the Masters, this is of the Valero Texas Open, but I just want to showcase it. You can see, I mean, we can run optimize lineups with this. And basically it's going to look at all the bucket conditions and then take into account everything else that I have over here, which is already going to be messy, but it's going to take into account everything that's on the screen. Run lineups. You can save lineups. If I were to hit save here, this will go to a lineup page that if you're kind of familiar with mass entering lineups, this is what it kind of looks like. It'll put the names here. And if you do this, you build 100 lineups, it all can be put here. You can also save that over to this sheet here. You put in your contest that you've entered. That way you can keep track of how much money you've invested, the maximum amount of dollars you put on a player in one contest. And then basically just shows a little difference between them. That's something I like to see, but this is available. I also include the dream sheet, which is just basically my cheat sheet that I'm going to provide everybody. That will also be in the link or in the description. There's a link there for the cheat sheet. It'll also go over all the buckets, all that good stuff. That's all a part of the optimizer. So if you want this, you gotta be subscribed. Comment down below who is the winner, who is your winner this week at the Masters Championship, or the Masters Tournament, sorry. And email me at sweetspotdfs@gmail.com and I will give you this optimizer. Super, super helpful. And then, like I said, the cheat sheet, which is basically going to be the sheet I have on the screen. It's going to give you all these golfers, their buckets here, my rankings, some of this golfer information, like what type of shot shape they have, where they're currently living, where they went to college. You're going to see this course fit page. And then once the Valero Texas Open concludes, I'll put all the last week's scoring stats here. You can get recent forms, season-long stats, the difference between recent forms. This is just the cheat sheet. You can see all the scoring that I put into the rankings. All that good stuff will be available to you, and so too will the bucket system. That, again, is in the description. A link is in the description to get to that cheat sheet. I will update it Sunday night. So it will all be updated. Right now, it's going to have the Valero Texas Open information in there. If you want to take a look at that, you certainly can. But Sunday night, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, I will have that updated to include the Masters Tournament. Everybody that's in there. So that's available to you guys. Those are the 4 giveaways. Subscriber giveaway, you went up to $30. Prize Picks giveaway, if you haven't signed up yet, I will give you $20 if you sign up and put $20 in your account. What else? Cheat sheet and optimizer. Those are the 4 giveaways I'm doing this week. So all that's available to you guys just by being a subscriber and participating on the channel. That's all I have for you guys. Masters Week, baby. Can't wait. Can't wait. Look out for the strategy video that I'll have Monday, hopefully. All depends on the tee times that Masters provides. Be on the lookout for that. That's where we dive a little bit deeper, narrow down our player pools, really focus on the golfers that we think are going to hit the optimal lineup for us. But that's all I have for you guys. Thank you for watching. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. See you in the next one. All right, bye.